today we're going to be talking about quantum shifting and choosing your reality, embodying the reality that you want to identify with and identify as, and working through fear. Okay, so it's also thunderstorming and raining outside of my car, so that's probably what all the noises that you hear in the background. So this morning I woke up and I was experiencing a lot of fear and anxiety. Okay, because there's something that I have been let's say worried and stressed about if it was going to actualize, materialize. And I have been working very diligently on, having faith and trust and being more in my feminine energy with manifesting. And so I said, you know what? It's 8 a.m. We're gonna shift the day so we have a different experience, because I could have chosen to stay in bed and to wallow in that, which if you've done that before, if you're doing that now, is totally fine. Sometimes we just gotta be in the human stuff, okay? And sometimes we just need to be in the pit. Okay, but I was like, you know what? I want a different experience today. I said, what would make me feel slightly better? Because when you're down in that pit, it's sometimes difficult to do a huge frequency swing where you're feeling joy and bliss and peace and magic and whimsy and all that fun stuff. So I said, what would slightly make me feel better? I said, okay, so my nervous system right now is shot out. Like, we in panic, fight or flight. I said, so I need to regulate my central nervous system. Like, stress hormones don't just go away, okay? And in the morning time is when your central nervous system is the most activated. And so I was like, okay, we're gonna get up. And I got up. I was like, I'm gonna go on a walk. I'm gonna go on a walk in a new neighborhood that I haven't been to before. Because I like doing that sometimes, because it brings new fresh energy and I have like new things to look at. Like, it's really good for my neurodivergency, right? Because we like newness and freshness. And so I told myself, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go on a walk. I'll be back. And so I go to the neighborhood and I am still not feeling great, but a little bit better because now I'm up and moving. And I said, okay, what would slightly make me feel better now? And so I was like, Abraham Hicks. Abraham Hicks always helps me lift my vibration and frequency. And so I was listening to her basically talk about getting out of the pit. Okay. And I was like, okay, I listened to her for 15 minutes. I was like, I feel good. I feel better. Still not feeling super awesome, but better. And I said, okay, what would make me feel better now? Because I did a walk around the whole entire neighborhood. I said, you know what? I'm going to go to a different neighborhood. I want to see some new things. So I go to a different neighborhood and I'm walking around, and I was going to play another Abraham Hicks chat. And I was like, you know what? We love Abraham, but I want to regulate my own system and shift my own thoughts. Okay, so turn everything off and I'm just with myself. And I said, what would slightly make me feel better? I said, let's start looking at all the beautiful flowers and plants around us. Like, let's spot all the things that bring us happiness and joy and put a smile on our face. And so I'm walking around. I was like, wow, this does feel really good. I was like, I do feel really abundant. I feel very prosperous right now. I was like, even when we're stressed and anxious, we're never not abundant and prosperous. It's okay. Sometimes we get like really constricted on the manifestation that we're trying to bring in, and it makes us feel in lack. And we think that's our only existence. But I was like, you know what? There's abundance all around me right now. All these squirrels, all these cats I'm walking by, all these fun things. And so feeling better. And then the what ifs start coming up, and the hows and the whys. And I started feeling really shameful and guilty, and I started berating myself. Like, here comes the onslaught of saying you're not good enough. Why can't you just get it together? All the stuff. And instead of trying to shove that stuff away, I was like, I love you. Thank you. I know you're trying to protect me. It's cool that you're here. Totally fine. And your feelings are valid. And when I did that, I was able to step up into the higher self form of me. Like the one that's like above human sage. Okay, like the person that I am right now. And then I started talking to me as my higher self, or as my higher self. And I was like, hey, listen, I said, your ego right now is trying to keep you safe and is running rampant. And I said, do you think that the past exists? I was like, no, because the past is not currently happening. And my ego was like, well, what about this? And what about that? And what about that from our past? All those things really happened. And I was like, yeah, but they're not happening right now. I was like, we're just out here on a walk. Like, literally none of that stuff pertains to us right this second. And then me as a higher self was asking myself, well, what about the future? I said, what about tomorrow? What about the next day? What about these things that you quote unquote need to come in? And I was like, yeah, that's not real either. I said, the only thing that's actually real is just the present moment right now and how I'm feeling and the reality that I'm choosing to be in. And I was listening to Bashar the other day. If you don't know him, you should look him up. He's great. And he was talking about how our, you know, self-limiting beliefs and our doubts and our fears are literally part of our like human physiology to keep us safe. And he was like, a lot of people think that your past or your future or your day-to-day is like what is creating your reality. And he was like, it's actually every second. Like you can jump into a parallel universe every single second. And every single time that you pick a negative thought, like one after the other, you're leaning towards a more negative timeline. And you're just reiterating that reality, but you're doing that literally second by second. And so I was like, oh yeah. I was like, the only thing that is real right now is right this second. Because I've had like really, let's like quote unquote like miraculous things happen. And the only difference to pull those things into myself is getting in a momentary blip of alignment. And then all of a sudden it just like coming in all of a sudden. We also really like surprises. Like if we knew how everything was going to happen all the time, that'd be super boring. Right? But I was like, I could just keep on choosing in every second to be in my most preferable reality. And that literally keeps me on the preferable timeline. Sometimes that's easier to catch than others, depending on how far you are down into the pit. Right? And so I had to kind of like work my way up the ladder of frequency to be able to have these higher thoughts. Right? And so after the walk, I'm walking back to my car and I come across this street and it says Sage Court, like my name. And I was like, oh wow, I found my center. I was like, I found that frequency of peace and abundance and getting myself onto that timeline sheerly by keeping a hold of my thoughts. Okay? I was like, I feel great right now. I said, tomorrow literally doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is right this second and what I'm choosing. Because I think sometimes that we think that time, like manifesting things takes like X amount of time when it doesn't. You can shift in a blink of an eye to a completely different reality. Like I've had that happen, but I forget that those things have happened. We all forget. And that's one of the things that I was talking to like human current sage on my walk. And I was like, don't you remember like all this stuff that's happened in the past? Like, let's really talk about the past, real talk. Okay. Like we have had all these like wild things happen. And it's because you kept on choosing in every second to stay on that timeline until you pulled it through the etheric realm. And it seemed like it was a miracle. Okay? But it was just because you were choosing the frame of existence that you wanted to be in. Okay? And time does not matter. Time is not real. It's like a human constructual thing. But your ego likes to play games around those things because that's literally like a safety mechanism for you to keep you alive. Okay? Because some of these things we feel like are so monumental to our ego, but they're really not in the grand scheme of things. But our human lens says so. Anyway, so I get home and just like to a little adage on this, my son and I are like kicking the soccer ball inside and he's eating this. Oh, my thing paused. Okay, we're back. Okay. So he's eating this sausage biscuit and my dog Daisy was standing next to him. And he was like, Daisy, what are you doing? And I was like, she's waiting for you to drop some food. And he was like, well, she's gonna be waiting there for a minute. He was like, I'm not giving her anything. And I was like, she doesn't know that. Like she's waiting, okay? And then like 2 seconds later, part of his biscuit fell off. And then she came over and grabbed it. And I was like, wow, she just like manifested that. Like that was a miracle for her. Okay. And I was like, that's the same thing that like I was talking about, is like she just showed up and like stayed in that frequency of possibility and then it happened for her. Okay. Like she was in a timeline where part of that biscuit fell. Okay. Like she perceived into that timeline. So I wanted to share this in case it helps with any perspectives that you're experiencing right now. Sometimes hearing these things, just like me this morning, listening to Abraham, helped me get up that frequency ladder. So hopefully this helps you get up a frequency ladder. And like I was saying before, when you're deep down in the pit, it's a big jump to be up here, to have those higher level thoughts and objectivity, okay, and timeline perceivability, and being able to choose your reality in the now moment. So when you're down there, keep asking yourself, what would slightly make me feel better? Just a little bit, okay? And then when you feel a little bit better, now what would slightly make me feel better? And keep on going until you get up to the vibration and frequency that you want to be in. Because again, things can work out for you in a momentary blip, because there's a gajillion, bazillion parallel timelines. And if you can get your frequency to match that of the timeline where that thing has already worked out for you, because it has, right? That's why you're quote unquote, 1111. That's why you're quote unquote manifesting something in the first place, because you're perceiving into a future timeline where it's already done. But it's up to you to course correct and get your frequency to stay on that channel long enough for you to pull it in. When I say long enough, it can literally be a second. Okay. Like somebody might reach out to you for support and to offer you support, or maybe you get a random bank deposit and you're like, there have been so many like wild experiences I've had that I've just been like, what? But it's because I aligned to that preferable timeline. And instead of saying necessarily like, I'm saying on a timeline to manifest, like I am the manifestation, I am prosperity, I am abundance, everything works out for me. Like, instead of saying a future prediction thing of like, oh no, we have it now. That's why you're picking up on it, that it's already done. So hopefully this helps. I would love to hear what your thoughts are in the comments. If you like this chat, remember to like and subscribe if you want to see more of them. And you can check the description box down here below for ways that we can work together if you want to deepen your understandings of quantum shifting and manifesting, and how to do this trauma healing and get up in that higher self observation deck and heal your inner children and past versions. And things as well. Oh, I have one more thing I wanted to say. Okay. I knew there was one more thing. Okay. So anyway, you can check those down here in the description. So when I was on the walk and I got up in that real high frequency, when I passed that sage chord, I was like, I'm so proud of myself for all the work I've done, all the challenges that I've been through, all the consciousness expansion, all the trauma I've healed, and all this stuff. And I was like, wait a minute. I was like, that stuff's not real either. Sometimes you'll be keeping yourself in like past narratives saying like, oh, I've gone through so much and all this stuff, and we still need to honor that. But then there's a place where like you come to this level of healing within self, where like that stuff's not even real. That's not you. Like all of past sages back here, not real. The only thing that is real is me in this second, and the reality that I am choosing to be in. All this stuff that happened in the past, it's not currently happening, so is it real? Okay, like food for thoughts, okay, and future you too. So I was like, oh wait, there's no challenges that we've been through, there's no lack that we went through, there's no, like, none of that, nothing, there's nothing. It's just who I am right this second. I'm not going to imprison myself in the past, even with the growth and the healing that I've experienced. There is me right this second, and me moving forward. That is it. Okay. So yes, let me know in the comments what your thoughts were. I would love to hear them. And I am sending you and your inner children so much love today, so much magic and whimsy and joy and happiness and bliss. And I love you very much. Have a magical day.